Peace and blessings. Uh, First, I just have to say thank you to everybody that's been subscribing to my channel, that's been uh, taking it seriously, really listening to what I'm saying and knowing that it's coming from a genuine and honest place. I appreciate all of your feedback, all of your likes, all of your shares, all of your, like I said, your comments. It means a lot to me. It fuels my drive to stay the course. I believe that it'll help somebody one day. Somebody may watch this and put it in the hands of some youngin' that's just wilding out there, young man or girl, and they may sit down and really hear these stories and hear these experiences and change their lives. So I thank you. I thank you. I want to get right into a wild story. And I'm going to try to, I'm not even saying I'm going to try not to be long because this was a whole day event. I swear it was a whole day event. But I'm going to try to sum it up. I was in the jail, Fairfax jail to be exact. And I just come back from prison. Once you're sentenced, you know, in the jail, you go to prison. So I've been in prison for a couple of years and I came back for an appeal. Nothing changed. I still wound up with life in 10. But, I came back for a few months to have my trial redone. So in the process of coming back, there was a guy in the pod and DC guys have a tendency, we cross the bridge, into Arlington, Alexandria, we go to Maryland, they have malls, they have, ladies or what have you. So we travel, or you have family. And sometimes you go to these other spots and, the laid back environment causes us, or doesn't really cause us, but we take a lot of our city silliness, out to these environments. And so we get caught up in these areas and their judicial system. So I met a guy inside Fairfax when I came back for appeal that I actually knew on the street. I went to school with him. We weren't in the same grade. I think he might have been above me by 1 year, and I used to box. I didn't really know him well. He was actually close to a guy that I considered a friend that lived in my neighborhood. So this guy, he was a troublemaker. I knew that the first night I came back, they processed me. I took my bags to the pod. It was like 10 o'clock at night. Everybody was kind of in the cells, and I went to the cell, and he didn't really recognize me because I'm a big guy, I always have been. But there were moments in the prison system where I shrunk up from, vigorous working out, running. Some guys I've been cool with, they used to run all the time, jog. I never really was a runner, but I used to jog or trot, and, that'll shrink you up. So when I came back to Fairfax, after a couple of years of being in the prison, I shrunk up significantly. And when I came to the cell, the light was there, off. So I just put my bag in, and you usually wait for whoever your roommate is to come in so you can talk to him, introduce yourself. Hey, I'm such and such, such and such, man. You get his name, and I'm here for woo-woo. That's just respect. So when he came to the cell, I recognized him off the top. So when he came in, he was like, "Hey man, what's up?" I plan on tomorrow moving down to the other cell with my brother. It wasn't his brother, it was a guy he was cool with. But so I was like, okay, and I called him by his first name. So he was like, he looked at me kind of strange, and then I let him know. I said, we went to school up northwest together, we went to Shaw, and used to box for this club, and I used to go to this spot or whatever. So he was like, oh, okay. Then he recognized me. He was like, well, so we talked, and in the course of talking, breakfast on the 4th floor in Fairfax comes first, and they feed basically from the top of the jail coming all the way down. So if you're on the 4th floor, and you're usually fed like 4:35 in the morning. So we talked from like 11 o'clock to 4. So and I could detect the degree of silliness in this guy. He had a real funny vibe. Like I say, he had a bullyish streak to him, and I only detected that because the way he talked about the guys, honestly, from Virginia. He was like, man, So let me push forward. So breakfast comes, and it's this short guy that had a little money on the street. I didn't know him, but I knew some people that he dealt with. He was a hustler, and the guy that I was in the room with that I knew, he took the muffin. They had like a chocolate muffin or something, oatmeal or whatever muffin, and he grabbed it out the guy's hand. Now the guy is about 5'2". He grabbed it out of his hand and snatched it, just for no reason, just snatched it, and he put it in the hands of the guy he said was his brother. So the guy he called his brother is a tall guy, but he's laid back. He raps. He actually had a song called Rockwaller, and and that's before I heard Red Man and Method Man have that song called Rockwaller. I mean, this younger could flow. And so he put it in the hands of him. So the short guy didn't go at the bully boy. He went straight to the brother to grab the muffin. So they tugging over a muffin. So I'm sitting back like, it's got to be one of the dumbest situations I've seen. I'm looking at it, at the time, my roommate, like, why would you snatch a muffin out of a guy's hand? You know what I mean? So I'm just looking at it. So the guy that's his brother and the other guy, the short guy, they get into a little tussle. They literally are tugging at a muffin. So, they almost get to fight. You know what I mean? I want to say somebody came downstairs that I actually knew from the street. He had just woke up. So when he came down the stairs, everybody kind of turned their attention to see, he had a little name on the street. So I got up, and because I didn't know the guys, but I had been breaking some fights up, in the prison system. I'm like, ho, man, y'all go ahead with that, man. Y'all go ahead with that, man. So my roommate, he was like, man, if y'all guys want it, he's trying to stir up some trouble between, himself being from D.C., another guy from D.C., and the guy he calls his brother who was from Maryland. So I'm just looking at him. So, there was a slight, verbal confrontation, but was no blows thrown. So that, we go back in the cell, and we're talking. I'm like, man, what's wrong? What's going on? Something going on. So he began to explain, how he feels guys are disrespecting and not really, giving him the respect he's due or whatever. And it was BS. It was BS. I'm watching him, and like I say, he had an issue, and I know what the issue was. And I'll say this honestly, he was poor. He was from an area in D.C., you know what I mean, low income area. But his mother worked hard. He had 3 sisters, but he had this. He didn't have much. He actually got locked up for a stolen car, and he was in Fairfax, and he didn't have any money. When you go in a person's cell, you can, the bags where the indigent bags, they're white, and they have like little small deodorants, a little small toothpaste. He had like a whole lot of those bags in one larger bag. He had, usually you'll line your cosmetics up, your deodorant and toothpaste. If you have a little money, can't really hide it anywhere, but some guys are discreet. They might put their stuff behind books or something, or just kind of tuck them, secrete them in areas. But, this guy only had the little deodorants, the little small ones. He had a pair of shoes, and I'm not exaggerating, his toes are coming out the front. Now, he played ball real good, and he could box a little bit, but he didn't have any money. He wasn't a hustler on the street. He had, got caught with a stolen car, didn't have, any gun or drugs, and that's what he was. You know what I'm saying? He was a thief and a petty criminal. So he had spent the whole year in the jail, away from, D.C. His mom couldn't really come visit him. I don't even think he had a visit the whole time he was in there. He was in there for like a year, literally going through trial because he didn't really have a serious case. I want to say they gave him like maybe 18 months. So he wasn't going to a big spread or a prison. He could have done his time in the jail. And I think they made him do most of his time there. And I think he did like 3 months in what they call a road camp. And he was sent home from there. But he just had that disposition. So we talked, and I could just see through him. So fast forward to a day where it started off the night before, and I'm in the cell, and this young guy from Boston comes. He say, hey, man, he also was a rhymer. He was living in Fairfax. And he was like, man, I knew some guys he knew. So he just came to, I guess, pay his respect. He was like, hey, man, da-da-da-da-da. And he was facing a few years. So because I had come back from the prison, a lot of guys would ask me questions about prison. Man, how was it down there? What you got to do? What, what's best to do? What shouldn't you do? So I'm enlightening a lot of guys who've never been to prison. So I'm letting them know what's going on. So he came to the cell, and we're talking. And so the bully guy that I know from the street, his so-called brother comes and says, man, can I get a I think a cookie or Oreo or something, because the guy that from Boston had a little money. So he says, sure. So, the guy, he goes and gets I think an Oreo. But the other guy, my old roommate, because right now I'm in a cell by myself, he goes and steals like 3-4 Snicker bars and stuff like that, just because. So later on, about an hour later, the guy from Boston goes downstairs. He come back up and he says, man, such and such got me, which means he stole from me. So he says he must have sent old dude up here to kind of, distract me, or just kind of, use that as an opportunity to go in my cell. So he like, man, I don't, what should I do? So, that was a question I was asked a lot by a lot of people in some real severe situations. And I always took it seriously. Now, there was always this that ran through my mind. The street side of me would say to myself, you asking me for it, man, go slap the fire up out that cat. That's the street side of me. My word, I never said that. I never encouraged violence, because I used to look at it like this. If a guy's asking me what should he do, he doesn't want to do anything wrong. He doesn't want to do anything violent. He doesn't want to do anything. So he's looking for an out. And I would give him that out, because then who am I to say, go fight, go stab, go do this? And then you turn around and get in a situation that whether you can handle it or not, whether you go as far as it can go or not, ultimately that decision was in my hand. And I put you in a more precarious situation. I put you in a more severe situation. And I don't have to face your family, but let's say one day I do, they would have that question for me. Why would you give my child that terrible advice? So I never gave guys bad advice. That's my word. And there are people watching this that know me and will attest to that. I've told guys, man, I had a guy get slapped one time, and he came and asked me, what should I do? And the only thing I'm thinking was, you should have went to war. You're not going to slap me. You know what I mean? That's what we're not going to do. But I couldn't tell him that. I couldn't tell him that, because the person that slapped him, if he would have fought him, he probably would have lost. And that guy was, going to come back with something sharp in the metal. This I knew. And so I told the guy, man, you get visits. Your daughters come to see you. Your grandmother comes to see you. You're going home soon. So calm down, rest, relax, and go talk to that guy. And then I'm like, look at what you said to him. You kind of brought, the guy was supposed to give him a tattoo, and the guy didn't do it, and he tried to use, race. The guy was a white guy, and he told him, oh, man, because I'm black, you ain't hurrying up with the tattoo. And that wasn't the case at all. The guy just had a lot of people lined up, and, he just couldn't do it. And so the guy, I knew the guy. And so when the guy heard that, he immediately slapped the guy, so, that's what that called for, because if he didn't, then that could have went, that rumor could have spread far and wide and would have had different consequences for the guy, the white guy. So when he asked me what should he do, I thought about it, and I said, man, it's some Snicker bars, what I'm saying? This candy, you got that in abundance. I say, but you do want to talk to him. I said, tomorrow, you should speak to him, pull him to the side and say, man, why did you do that? So that's exactly what happened. The very next morning, everybody's out. Fairfax doors shut. They close the doors. They make us come to the pods, 6 o'clock, 7 in the morning, and everyone's out there. Everyone's groggy. Everyone sleeps. So everyone's on the picnic tables with their hands, and their heads in their hands, and the TV is on, but it's low, and everybody kind of has taken their sweaters or shirts and found newspaper, and you'll look in the pod, and there's people laying all around in spots. And if the deputy is kind, he'll keep the lights pretty dim so guys can at least try to get another hour or two of sleep, because, it's pretty early. So a guy's laying on the bench. And I knew him from juvenile at one time. And he had been shot several times. And the guy I'm talking about, my former roommate, the bully boy, had also been shot 5 times by a guy in a neighborhood about 2 blocks away from where the guy grew up. So I didn't know who shot him, but I know that neighborhood and a lot of guys in there. So he was also recovering. So the guy from Boston was sitting on the ground, and he looked up at the guy, my old roommate, and he said, man, you didn't have to get me. And I'm sitting, it's like all of us are it's a small pod with 20 people in there. So, most of us are kind of sleeping and looking at TV. So we're close. So when he looked down, my old roommate just swelled up. Man, what you mean? I ain't steal nothing from you. I ain't do that. I didn't do this. Who you talking to? Slim, come see me, which basically means come fight me, you know. So the guy from Boston, you know, he's a little nervous. He's not a coward, but that's not what he does. He's not a fighter. You could tell he's admitted it. That's not what he does, but he will fight if you put your hands on him. But that's not what he's trying to do. He just wanted to confront the guy. He said, man, you didn't have to do that, man. I'm good, you know, but all right then. So the guy just, you know, my old roommate, yeah, whatever. I don't need to steal from you, Slim. You ain't got nothing. So the other guy that I had known from juvie years prior was laying on the bench. He was recently recuperated. He had been shot 5, maybe 6 times, and his stomach still had a cut from from the low beneath his navel all the way up to his sternum. But he's laying down on the bench, and he looks at the guy. He said, man, why don't you just sit down and shut up, man? Nobody keep trying to hear that. So my old roommate, he snapped on him. What you talking about? What's up? What's up? You know, he just going off. So this is like 7 in the morning. So everybody stirred up now. Everybody kind of, you know, shaking. You got guys slipping. You know, we call them slip-ons because in the jail you can have a pair of tennis shoes, but not everybody has them. But they have these blue, you know, slides, these decks, you know, shoes that you put on. So we call them slip-ons. We had another name for them, but it was kind of a funny name. But, you know, everyone calls them slip-ons. So everybody putting the slip-ons on, and, you know, people, your pants usually are baggy at the bottom or kind of wide, so you tuck them in your socks. So in case you ever have to fight, you're not sliding on the heel of your pants. So, you know, so when the guy on the bench laying there, he stayed laying there like, man, whatever. And the doors don't pop until 4 o'clock. So that's the word that came out of the youngest mouth. He said, man, all right, man, when them doors swing, man, you swing. So, you know, throughout the day, and this is 7, so, you know, my old roommate's walking around, you know, literally huffing and puffing. I don't care, these clowns, boom, boom, boom. So, you know, he was cool with another guy from D.C., and this guy was good at cutting hair. So everybody kind of dealt with him, you know what I mean, from Virginia to D.C. So he tried to tell him, man, sit down, man, chill, man, relax, man, you know, you all stirred up. So the whole pod, I'm talking about all day, you just got guys sitting at tables together, rocking back and forth. It's tense. I mean, it was no peaceful moment from 7 in the morning to 3:30. And when 3:30 hit, just when it got exciting, the COs, the deputies, they bring the trays. Our pod is adjacent. I was in a pod called 4 South 4. Well, we moved from 4 South 4, so I'm in 4 South 2. 4 South 3 is right, like we're in the corridor, so the doors face one another. So the COs push a cart up in there, they hand the 20 trays here, they hand the 20 trays there, then they go to 4 South 4, 4 South 5 and go in that corridor. So when the police come and hand the trays in our corridor in the next pod, when they leave, that's when, you know, soon as the doors pop. My old roommate, he went in the guy's cell, and the guy's short and he's small. So when he went in the guy's cell, the guy literally hit him with a 2-piece, you know, a fast one. Bop, bop, and jumped and grabbed him, like held the guy, because my old roommate is like muscular. He's real muscular, and he can throw his hands, but that's what he does all day, walk around the pod, shadow boxing. So the other guy, you know, who, you know, no one really knew, you know, that had been shot, he was recovering as well. You know, my old roommate slept on him, you know, underestimated him. So when he got hit with the 2-piece, he sat there and he took it, and before he could retaliate, the guy literally wrapped him up, like jumped on him and wrapped his arms and legs around him. So my old roommate trying to shake him off, like, get off me, you just hear him. So when that happens, that's in one cell. The guy that from DC, that's the barber, went in there to try to pull him apart, like, y'all go ahead, because now the officer in the booth, he's always tracking the trays. But if he hears noise, you know, and you hear rumbling, you hear the foot screeching, you know, the deck sliding, the slip-on sliding, you hear things. So when he looks, you know, guys are always alert. Man, deputy. So guys will turn around and kind of calm down. You see guys, it'll look like guys are freezing in poses of nonchalant or normality. They're just sitting there like, you know, nothing's happening. So the deputy will look over, you know, then he'll turn his head back to where the food carts are. So when they come out the cell, my old roommate, he huffing, he's like, come on, he trying to put his hands up. So a guy that he walked with every day, this guy was from Falls Church, Virginia. He literally jumps up on a table and walks in circles saying, yeah, man, if guys got a problem with somebody, man, see your man right now. You know, so I'm looking to see who he's talking to, you know, because I know him from the street. So I'm looking at him. Because for some reason, I feel like he was talking about me, but he wasn't. He was talking about my old roommate. And my old roommate had been bothered. I did not know this. He was bothered by a lot of the guys that respected me. I had a little name on the street. You know, I fought a lot. So I had a little name, but a lot of guys that did not know me had been coming to me because I had been in the prison, you know, for a couple of years. So they're asking for advice. So I didn't know that, you know, my old roommate was actually behind my back questioning my credentials. Like, you know, was he this and was he that? Mind you, I knew him in school. So we didn't know each other well, but he know, you know, I'm from DC and I can fight. So he knew that. But he was just bothered by the amount of respect some guys had for me. And I swear I did not know that. I didn't carry it like that. I'm pretty laid back, you know, I'm pretty quiet. I'm to myself, you know what I mean? My temper was extreme, you know, and I could be a fool at times, but, you know, I didn't carry it like I was that dude. So when he said that, my roommate looked at me like, who you talking to? And his man that he walked with, sat with every day, looked at him and said, I'm talking about you. Say what's on your mind. You know what I mean? So I look and I'm like, what's going on? You know what I mean? You got something to, you know, you got on your chest? So my roommate like, nah, man, I don't know what he talking about. So, you know, they went at it for a minute. And this guy, this young guy, he actually grew up my younger brothers. He was real muscular. I knew his older brother. His father was actually in the pod beside us. Big young, I'm talking about solid, played that ball, man. We had some good ball players too. And when the young guy that my roommate called his brother, the tall guy that was pretty laid back, got up to put his tray down, because he didn't get involved in the fight. Like I said, he had told me a couple days prior, he was trying to stay away from that guy, man, my old roommate, because he just brought too much trouble to him. He turned around, and when he put his tray down, the young big guy that grew up, my younger brothers, ran up behind him and threw him pushed him right into the glass door, the metal door, but the glass, and he hit the door, boom. When he hit the door, the big guy turned around and put him in a chokehold and was squeezing him so fast, it was so fast the youngin couldn't breathe. So I grabbed the young, like, go ahead, man. I grabbed his arm, and the big young guy, then my brother that grew up, my younger brother, his father was in the very next pod. So his father literally run to the pod, the door, like, hey, so you can see him, but he's trying not to yell because he doesn't want to draw the attention of the officer. And as crazy as it is, man, the jails and prison, your son is fighting. But as opposed to yelling, you're miming. Stop. You're miming things because you're aware not to draw attention, because if you draw attention, your son is still going to go to the hole. So this is how wild it is, but this is the knowledge that comes with that environment. You have to learn these things. And so I grabbed his son. I'm like, man, your father looking, man. Look at your father, man. You know what I'm saying? Calm down, calm down. So I'm pulling his hand off the young guy's neck, and he choking him. I'm talking about, young boy was real strong, man. He was like a young bull for real. So he's choking him, but he eased up, boom. So my old roommate, he still had a little love for the tall guy. He knew that they were drifting apart because the young, was getting tired of him, hanging with him, you know what I'm saying, being drawn into these situations. So he like, man, he tell the big guy that had the father, he tell him, man, what you messing with him for? What you messing with him for? So they going at each other like, man, I'll see you. So by that time, the officers feeding are now back in the corridor, like not the little cut there in the hallway area. So they're, everything is visible. So everybody's kind of calm. So, and this is crazy. So the doors are open now. Everybody's put their tray out. The tension is still high. It's thick. So this is even wilder. Everybody goes to their cells, like to go to sleep, because it was tension all day. So you're tired, but you're going to your cell. So they have chairs in the pod. So my old roommate, he took like 10 of the chairs and stacked them. I lie to you not, and set them in his doorway. Now, he did it for two reasons. He did it because he wanted to talk to the guy that's the barber. Like, he's wondering how far he's going to go, what he's going to do, who he's going to try to hit first, because he doesn't feel safe. He feels like, okay, the guys are going to try to team up on him, but that's what he caused. And that's not even what's on their minds. So he's using that barricade as a form of privacy, but also as a form of protection, because even when the guy that's the barber from DC that came out, he kept the doors there. So he wanted to go to sleep, and you can't tell an officer in jail, shut your door. You can't. Your door's open until they shut them, and they close them. So it's not like the prison where you can get your door open and closed at will. So basically he slept, behind the chair. So around 7 o'clock, the show Martin came on, and they bring cadre. That's a guy that cleans, a trustee that cleans. That's an inmate, a convict that cleans the jail. So they come up, they got a bucket. They got like 5 buckets for each pod, a bucket for each pod with a mop bucket. And they have a small bucket inside with bleach. Now, guys get the bleach, and we'll split it among ourselves to clean our toilets with a cleaning brush. So, you know, the guy, he's actually sweeping. My old roommate, sweeping. And he's looking at the young big guy, not the one he fought, not the one that hit him with the 2-piece and jumped on him and held him, you know, like a koala bear. Nah, he's eyeballing the youngin', the thick youngin' that grew up with my little brothers that pushed the guy he calls a little brother into the glass door. So he takes the broom, the bottom of the broom, and tries to hit. Well, he took the whole broom. He took the whole broom and tried to hit the youngin'. But another guy that had a little name that when I said I first came in the pod and all that tension happened that morning, the guy that came down the stairs that I knew, he came down the stairs, he was twisting his hair, but he had a little name on the street, he had a lot of money, he was a hustler. And so, you know, the young guys respected him, and I actually knew each other fairly well on the street. So, you know, we dealt with each other. So when he come down the stairs, you know, I saw that he was there. So we had talked and we established, you know what I'm saying, reestablished our bond. So he's in the pod, you know, just sitting there looking at Martin. So when my old roommate tries to swing the entire broom, you know, the guy I know from the street as well, he's tight with these guys. He's from out there with them, you know what I mean? And they look up to him, they respect him. So he grabbed the bottom of the broom, the flat part with the bristles, because it was loose. So he grabbed it, and when my old roommate swung, all he had was a stick, and it threw him off his balance. So he turned around, so the guy took the bottom of the broom and hit him. Pop, but he missed his face and hit him on the shoulder. That's when I come in. I'm like, ho, man, y'all go ahead with that, man. Y'all go ahead with that, man. So, you know, everything, again, it's tense. Everybody coming out they cell, guys looking out, they say, what's going on? So guys putting their skippies back on, they slip-ons. So, and I know I'm long, I swear, it's coming to a close. So everybody's like 6 people in the cell of the barber, because people like the barber guy. He's laid back, you know, and, you know, him and I are cool. So the young, big, muscular guy that my old roommate was trying to hit, he's in there. And he's like, man, what's wrong with this dude? What's wrong with him? So like another 2 guys are in there, and they're just talking like, they're asking, you know, the barber guy from DC, like, man, what's wrong with your man? Your man wild, man. Your man always this, your man always that. So my old roommate go in there and say, man, you got a problem with my little brother? So they look at him, and everybody kind of like, the problem is with you. So that's what they say. You know, that's what the strong guy that put the so-called brother in a chokehold, he said, man, if I got a problem with him, man, dude got an issue with you, Slim. Man, why don't you go somewhere? So my old roommate said, man, nobody listening to you. Why don't you go somewhere? And that young boy caught him. Boom! When he caught him, he got stuck. Like, I mean, like literally, he got hit and he didn't, you know, he froze and almost went down. Again, the young boy is good for choking, evidently, because this is what he do. He grabbed him again. And this time when he grabbed him, he kind of get beside him so he can choke him. Choking him out real bad. And I'm telling you, he choking, so my old roommate's trying to like reach. He's trying to reach around. He's trying to, you know, he gasping for air. So the guy that's the barber, this is crazy, because my old roommate is literally reaching, but the barber guy got a little radio in the window behind him. So if he's like doing this flailing, he's reaching for something. He's trying to grab the radio to hit the guy with the radio. And the barber guy take the radio out the windowsill and move it so my old roommate can't break his radio. I said, these guys, man. But the guy that had grabbed the bottom of the broom, he came in and he told the young boy, he said, man, let him go, man. Let him go, man. Let him go. And so, you know, the young boy let him go respectfully. And he told the dude, he told my old roommate, why don't you just go somewhere, Slim? Ain't nobody messing with you, nobody thinking about you, man. Just go, man. You know what I mean? Just leave that stuff alone. So, you know, everything dispersed. And that night he got in the shower. And it's crazy because everybody watching each other, you know what I'm saying? They gonna lock the doors around 11 o'clock, maybe 10, I think. So it's still about 8 o'clock now. So the pod is kind of empty, it's quiet, because everybody in the cells having these committees, these meetings about what's going on whose side, all this. So, you know, again, I went to the cells, I talked to 1 or 2 guys, I'm like, just let it go, So everybody's basically, basically everybody's like, okay, it's done. We just gonna see what your roommate do, how he act. If he go far, they gonna go far. Cause now it's getting to the point where guys want to start using weapons. And now the jail has fewer weapons than the prison system, but they still have weapons. Some guys were using the trash cans, the hard plastic trash cans. They would break them and use the shards and turn them into knives. They would sharpen them on the groove of the walls where the concrete is abrasive, and they would sharpen them. And when they send the sandwiches, they would take the plastic wrap from the sandwiches and tighten up the area where the handle, where a handle would become. And so guys had some pretty sharp weaponry. And the guy, my old roommate, actually poked a hole in the shower curtain. I'm not lying, because everyone saw the shower curtain move abruptly, and then you see an ink pen come through it. And so, you see his finger, and he basically pried a hole so he could look out the shower curtain while he was taking a shower, so that no one, could run up on him. And that was that day, man. It was a wild day. It was a tense day. It was a day of nothing but, everybody's adrenaline ran from 7 o'clock that morning to probably, man, 11 o'clock that night, and even into the next day. And this is why I say, man, that environment, those environments, man, produce some hard hearts and some sharp minds, because you have to be vigilant. You have to be aware. Some people, that haven't dealt with that might go into a store and everything may seem normal. But a guy who has done time, a guy who's been in the military, a guy who may be a police officer, a guy who grew up in the inner city may go into a store and he may detect something out of the ordinary. Something doesn't feel right. He may see guys, somebody looking a certain way, or looking, swiveling their head, or moving, or popping. He knows something's about to happen, and he may be like, look, let's get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Or let's go way to the back. You know what I mean? So it produced that as well, but it produced so much tension, man. And this was such a daily occurrence, So like I said, this was pretty long. And I apologize a little bit for the length of it, but these are tales that have to be told. And these are stories that let people know that when you go in those environments, that even if you are an innocent, so far as like you're not a criminal, you might have got locked up for stealing, 4 or 5 cars. You're wrong, but you're in there with guys that then killed, murdered, and raped. And so now you're just trying to, mind your business. And moments like this happen, riots happen, the guy that doesn't bother anybody, sometimes the lady that doesn't bother anybody, they're the ones that become the most victimized, because they're not prepared to be stone-hearted and cold and just, I don't care. So these environments, man, have produced some terrible-hearted people, but they produce some people who were also strong, who came out better because of it. But it's sad when I reflect on it, because I just remember a lot of tension, man. Your heart beats a lot through the course of the day. It'll just get rapid, because you'll hear a smack, bah, and next you know, some guys are fighting, or you'll hear a scream, and you look over here in the kitchen and somebody about to get stabbed, or they just got, and it's like, man, this every day. So, I told that tale, man, just to say that it's real in there, it's tense in there, and it's always something going on, So again, thank you all for staying with me. Thank you all for paying attention. Thank you all for your feedback, most important, and thank you all for sharing, and thank you all for making other people aware. I'm humbled by that. So, continue to do that, and I appreciate you. And you all have a good one, and take care.